In this video, I'm going to show you how to install Drush on Mac OS X Mavericks. There are three parts to this process. First, we're going to install Git, then we're going to install Composer, and then we're going to install Drush. So I'll walk you through all three of those steps. This is a brand new Mac. I've just set it up clean. So let's go through the process here. So first, we're going to install Git. If you already have Git installed for some reason, if you've done this before, then you don't need to reinstall this particular version. But the easiest way to get Git is to go to git-scm.com, and there's a download link here. Now, in the interest of time, I've already downloaded it, so I'm just going to run that download. And we'll run the installer for Git. All right, and we'll get the message that the installation was successful. Now, that's a little bit misleading because we're not 100% done with this yet. We need to go launch Git at a command line. So if you go under Finder in Applications, go down to Utilities, and launch a terminal window. And then try to run Git, so Git. You should get this pop-up here that you need to install the command line tools. Now, if you don't get the pop-up, if you see the Git help text, that probably means you already have these tools installed, which is fine. So if you get the pop-up, click Install. And this takes a little while, 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, the command line tools are installed now. So if I click Done, and then if I try to run Git again, I should get the help text for Git. If you're seeing that, then it's properly installed. So the next step will be to install Composer. Composer is a package manager for PHP, which just means it's a way for people to package up their PHP programs and distribute them to other users. So we need this because Drush is packaged with Composer. So the easiest way to get Composer, if you don't already have it, is to go to getcomposer.org and click Download. And there is a command right here at the top that you can use to install. So I'm just going to copy that. You'll need to run this in the command line window. So if you run that command, it'll download and set up Composer. Now, by default, it's going to put Composer in your home directory. Actually, it may put it in the whatever directory you're in. By default, the terminal window opens in your home directory. So if I list my files now in this directory, I can see composer.far is here. And you can run this from this location. And it'll work. You can see there's the help text for Composer. However, I like to install Composer in a globally executable path location. This means so that I can, I don't have to remember that it's in this location. I want it to just work everywhere on my whole system. So if I'm working on a project and I need to run it, I can run it in that directory. So let's copy Composer into a global system path. And at the same time, I usually don't like to have it say composer.far. I usually just like to type the word composer. So we can rename it at the same time. So in order to do that, we're going to need to type sudo move composer.far to user bin /user/bin composer. All right, and so that's going to put it into the user bin directory. And it's going to prompt me for my password because I'm putting it into a system path. Yep, and there we go. If I now run Composer, I get the help text. So this will work anywhere, any project I might be in. So, okay, at this point we have Git installed, we have Composer installed, we're ready to install Drush. So if I go to the Drush GitHub page, there are actually instructions here if you scroll down. Okay, for installing and updating. Now I'm going to pick the ones for Drush 7 because that's the most recent one now, and that's required if you're doing any Drupal 8 work. So there's actually a command here that you can copy for using Composer to download and install Drush. So again, I'm going to copy and paste that command. And what it's doing now is it's going out it's going to download Drush, but it's also going to download, there's a few things that Drush requires. So it's taking care of all the dependencies, all the extra things that Drush needs. All right, so that's done. Now, if you try to run Drush at this point, you'll see that the command is still not found. Composer is maybe a little bit strange. It puts all of the programs that you download into your home directory. So if I list out all the files, including the hidden ones, by doing ls-a, there is a folder in here that is .composer. And so let me just show you what's inside there. If I go into that folder, there are some configuration files in here for Composer, and then there's also this vendor folder inside. If I go into the vendor folder and list out those files, this is where it actually puts all these things that we've just downloaded. So you can see there's Drush, and then Pair and Symfony. Those were some other dependencies, some things that Drush requires. So Drush is actually buried down in this folder. And so in order to be able to use it normally, we need to make it available again in some sort of global system path. And the best way to do it here is not to move it because it sort of requires, it needs to be in the same location as these other dependencies. But what we can do is we can create an alias, a symbolic link from one of our global system paths to the actual location where Drush is installed. So the way to do that is with the ln command. So if we do ln-s, that's for a symbolic link, which is the type of alias kind of link we want. And we want to link ~composer vendor Drush, and then this gets a little weird because it's actually, there's another Drush folder under the Drush folder, and then the Drush command itself is under there. So it's .composer ~composer vendor drush. And we want to put that again in user bin. So we want that to be user bin drush. Okay, so that's going to create an alias in user bin called drush that points to the actual location of Drush. Okay, permission denied because I forgot, since we're putting it into a system path, we need to type sudo before the command, so sudo, and then the command exactly as before. And it may prompt you for your password depending on how long since the last time you entered your password. It didn't prompt here because we just entered it a few minutes ago. That link has now been created. If I type Drush, you'll see that I get the Drush help text. So Drush is now installed. This should work anywhere on your system. There's one final step to getting Drush working. This is an optional step. It depends on exactly what sort of development environment you're using. If you have downloaded something like MAMP or Bitnami or Acquia Dev Desktop or something like that, so you have this sort of standalone Apache MySQL system, you need to link Drush up with the database part of that, because Drush by default is going to look in your Mac's system location for that MySQL database. So we need to make a link from the system location over to the actual location where yours is installed. Now the steps here might be a little bit different depending on which program you're running, if you're running MAMP or Bitnami or Acquia or whatever. So I have the Bitnami infrastructure stack running here on my machine, and it is installed under Applications, Bitnami. So I'll show you how I would link these up so that Drush can see the MySQL database. For me, you may have to adjust it on your machine depending on exactly how you've got things installed. But the place where Drush is going to look for the MySQL socket connection is under var MySQL, which depending on your system, it may not exist. So if I go under cd/var and I list out these, I don't have a MySQL folder here. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is make one. So I'm going to type sudo make dir MySQL. And then I need to add a link to the MySQL socket file for Bitnami and put it in that folder. If you don't understand all that, don't worry about it. You can probably just follow along with the command. So the command will be sudo ln-s, again for the symbolic link. Now we need the target location, which is applications, Bitnami, MySQL, tmp, mysql.sock. Okay, the file you're looking for if you're using another system is mysql.sock. So it's probably going to be in some other directory structure if you're not using Bitnami infrastructure stack, but if you can find that file, I think the same process should work. So that's the target file. I want that file to be linked, the alias for it to be in var MySQL mysql.sock. That will be the actual file name. Okay, so there's the full command. So I'll hit that, and now I have that symbolic link there. So when I run Drush and I try to do any database access commands, anything that needs to enabling modules or backing up the database, for example, anything that needs to hit the database, that should work now that I've made that link. So I think that's it. At this point, you can you can use Drush system-wide in any Drupal folder that you have.